All right, well, welcome to episode 12 of Twins on Tech. And this week, Brent is going to talk about his Wi Fi setup at home. Last week or the week before, he mentioned he uses, it's called Eero.
Eero.
Eero. And I've been looking into it because of the functionality that it has, supposedly at least for parental controls. I have an Asus router and it has a lot of options, but there's no just like click here to enable parental controls in various ways. You can turn off or disable the internet, or you can disable the device in general. So like I can disable the internet, but they can still use internal sources, things that are inside my network at home, such as Plex and things like that. Or I can disable the device altogether and the router just denies all traffic until I allow it again, which are nice features, but I'd like to be able to kind of go a little beyond that. So what's going on with Eero on your side? Because you mentioned you it was good, but you weren't terribly in love with it.
Well, I think the biggest problem that we have, because that leads to us being not terribly in love with it, is we already have a bad connection speed. We have 5 megabits down and half a meg at best up.
I like that nowadays 5 megabits down is bad. Back in the day, that was like you have what, but now everything else has gone the other direction. So now even 5 is bad. It's
Well,
crazy.
just a simple website is probably what 40 megabytes a page. Uh, that's probably not accurate. Maybe more like 4 megabytes a page. But either way, on a 5 megabit connection, it doesn't download super fast. I'm not talking. I'm talking like you go to a heavy page that could be that large, so it's not loading up as fast. 5 megabits. If you go to a text site, if you go to my website, something like that, or eventually Twins on Tech, that's a WordPress, and it's pretty well. The WordPress templates are pretty well optimized, so they load pretty fast, especially if they're like optimized for mobile and so forth. But the Eero just uses whatever pipe it has and it tries to share it. And what I like about it is it does do an excellent job of sharing that network. So throughout the house, we have one SSID, one name to connect to, one network. And if I go from our side all the way to the other side, it's a long house, not super deep, just long. Usually on the other side, I'll tell you about what we had before, and that'll kind of help you understand why we decided on the Eero. And there are other options, and I'll even mention some of those, but I don't know too much details about them. I just know the names, and I've heard good things about one of the other ones, not so good things about another one of the other ones. Anyway, what we had before was, of course, our router, I'm sorry, our modem from the DSL provider into a Netgear router. And that Netgear router, I don't remember the name of it. Maybe I'll send you a picture. You could toss it in. It was a good one, and we still have it for that matter. AC, I think, for wireless for all of our devices that have that. Again, we don't do a lot of connections inside. We don't use Plex or anything like that. So having AC didn't matter to us. It was really just a way to share the internet connection, or if you needed to print through the wireless printer. That was really the only benefit there. And of course, you had to be on that router connected to that name, that SSID. But you get to the other side of the house and the signal is too weak. So we have, I don't know how many connections, maybe 5 Ethernet connections pulled throughout the house. Some to my TV here, some over to the basement, which is kind of a work area / office area. But over there, that was one of the areas, especially in the basement, but even upstairs on that side was too far away for the router here. So we added another router, and that was, who did Cisco buy? I can't remember who they bought, but
Linksys?
yes, I believe so. It may have even been labeled Cisco. I can't remember because was fairly new at the time. Anyway, so that was acting as a second. It wasn't a bridge. It was a second SSID to connect to. So they just connected to theirs, that side. We connected our side. If we went over there and needed it, we'd reconnect, whatever. Not a great solution, but it was functional. And as far as sharing 5 megabits goes, whatever. As good as you can imagine to share 5 megabits. It's not awesome, especially when everybody decides they want to stream something.
Mm-hmm.
But Eero came out and some of these other mesh networks and devices. So I thought I'd try one. And the one I heard the most about, plus the one that I had the best promotion code for, was Eero at the time. There are different codes for a lot of these. So the ones that there are 4 that I thought about, I guess there's another one called Plume. I don't know much about Plume, but there's Eero, which is what we have. There's Orbi. What I've heard good about Orbi is that it does, if you have a high data connection to your internet, that's the best one for all of your devices to connect to. It contain what's the wording? Feeds. That's not the wording. The best internet speeds. Well, that's what I'm talking about, but that's not the way I was trying to say it. Doesn't matter. I didn't come up with how to say it even. The network speeds remain the highest. The pipes.
The tubes.
The tubes, yes, all of those. You got the best speeds on the Orbi. Across the board, what all of your connections are. There's Amplify, AMPLIFI. I don't have it memorized. I'm looking at it right there. And then there's Google Wi-Fi, which to my understanding is really just another router. Router. I haven't heard good things about Google Wi-Fi. I don't know much about Amplify. And for that matter, I could be getting the Orbi and Amplify confused. Do a YouTube search. And you can easily find where people have compared these. You might want to be careful because a lot of these Eero that are sponsors for, so they may be slightly leaning towards an Eero. I do like the Eero. As far as the speeds go, last week or so, our DSL provider changed their settings. So we didn't know that the settings were changed. We just thought everything's working fine in this Netgear for now, but now it's not working, so maybe the router's bad. So I went and bought a new modem, just a DSL modem. So I was thinking I was just going to connect that to the Eeros, it would be fine. Turns out they changed their settings, so I just changed those settings in the Netgear, and it was fine again. So what I did was I had them both going for a few days, the Netgear and the Eero. And if the Eero was off and the Netgear was going, and I did a speed test, especially hardwired, but even on your mobile device, we were getting consistently about the 4.8, whatever, about what we normally would get. If I connect to the Eero, it was a wide range. I might get 2, I might get the 4, I might get 3. It was inconsistent speeds. I was getting connection, but I was getting inconsistent speeds. May just be mine. You never know. All of these electronic devices, they make a lot of them, so it's potential to get one that's not working as best as the others. But it hasn't been consistent. That's my biggest complaint with the one that we have. It's been functional, but when you're not consistent and you're sharing 5 megabits, that's makes for a poor experience as far as streaming media goes. And for the most part, that's what we use here for entertainment, is streaming media.
Yeah.
What I do like about the Orbi, you mentioned parental controls. The Netgear, if you have a Netgear router, you can use, they have, oh my goodness, this is why people probably make notes. I can't remember the name of of what they use. My Genie is what the app is called, but there's a service that they use. It's a service that many people know, DNS server. What's the DNS server that's very popular? You don't know? All right then.
I mean, there's if it's specifically for Google has their DNS server.
Yeah, it's not DNS. It's not Google.
There's third parties that have them for parental controls specifically. So you put in theirs. Might be the same one you're thinking. Oh, it was right on the tip of my tongue. But basically, it's a parental controls, Net Nanny or something like that. They have their own, or at least had. I'm not sure if they still do.
Yeah, I'm not thinking.
Is that what you're talking about?
No, yes and no. No to Net Nanny. It wasn't Net Nanny. It was something DNS. If I say
DNS,
I don't.
You're not talking about a dynamic DNS, are you?
No,
That's how you can reach your home from anywhere on the internet.
No. Okay. In the name, DNS, I believe, is in the name.
Okay.
I don't think I have the app on my iPad, but I'll try to look at something and talk at the same time. Never goes well. I can't even talk, much less look and talk. But
Yeah, that's true.
OpenDNS.
Oh, okay.
OpenDNS. So I believe through OpenDNS, you create an account with them, and then it acts like a. My computer is frozen. I assume I'm still recording audio. Yes, okay. That was weird. I looked at myself and I was like, on the screen. So I was like, I think I'm having a stroke. Somebody called 911.
Yeah.
Anyway, OpenDNS, you create an account with them. And through them, you could do a pretty granular parental controls. Now, it was basically as far as the sites you would go to. It wasn't like allow activity during this time and through this time. It was cut out these sites. Don't let them go to gambling sites. Don't let them go to the obvious things like adult sites. You can even filter out more granular things like content wording. You know, maybe I won't get into what the wording would be, but you could get pretty granular.
Yeah. We don't need to go that route.
Yeah. But that's what it did. It didn't do any deeper things. Again, more like you can start your internet now and end it now. So with the Eero out of the box, you can't really do filtering on the content side. You have to pay for the Eero Plus. That's $10 a month. I'm currently in a free 1 month trial of that. Without that, you can do the time. You can set a beginning time and an end time. And if your kid is supposed to be doing chores, but it's in a time where they're allowed to be on the internet, but they need to be focused on something else, you can pause. You open up the app and then pause their internet service. That only works if they don't have cellular, of course, because they could flip it right over to cellular or turn off Wi-Fi and start using that.
Yeah.
But if they're on the Wi-Fi, you can control it to that level. If you pay for the Eero Plus, then you can't get granular with it, but it will filter out kind of like the general adult sites or things that are seedy like that. It's just kind of a general switch that you flip, so to speak, that cuts off that type of content. And you can make that whole house. You can make it specific to devices.
Nice.
So because you create profiles, like I have a profile for my things. My wife, I don't have a profile for because I don't have any reason to stop anything from her on hers. So my kids, of course, I do as individual profiles. And in that profile, you can set up the various things that they use. Maybe they have a cell phone, maybe they have a tablet, maybe they have a laptop. You put all those three things into that profile. And what I do is when their friends come over, they go into their profile as well, instead of having an additional profile. Because then I can just, okay, guys, you need to do this, you guys need to go to sleep, whatever, shutting it down. And I also have a different profile for certain streaming devices, like whatever's in the living room, so that at a certain point, that'll stop streaming to kind of give them a little impetus to go to bed. Whereas the streaming device here, super popular Roku, good grief, my brain is about useless. The Roku that we have here in the bedroom, it's not. So we can stay up watching TV if we feel like it. So that's the benefit to Eero Plus. Again, some of those things you have to have the Plus. I wanted to have the content filtering just to be safe. My kids are young. But if you don't pay for that $10 a month, you still have the other stuff where you can lock them down by times and so forth. I do think it's worth the cost there. What is about $300? You get 2 of them. I think I bought 3 for, I think it was $3.99, but the promotion was $100 off when I bought it. I don't know what the current price is. 2, from what they say, will fill a typical home because we have a long house. We have the 3. It makes it easier.
Yeah.
They do have Ethernet ports on the back, so if you do want to, like if you run one close to an entertainment center or something like that, and you have things that you prefer to have wired, of course it's going to be wireless to the Eero.
Right.
But you can't go wired beyond that. I believe there might even be 2 Ethernet ports on the back. Like if you wanted to go wired in instead of wireless to the Eero, and then wired back out. I could, I suppose, pull up a picture and look at that, but either way, there's some. The printing was tricky at first. They've updated their software. I tell you the best thing about Eero, and probably with these other ones, but I can't speak for sure about them, is they have been great at staying on top of security. when there's something that's a security flaw like this, was it WPA2 or whatever it was, security flaw that was found. They were right on top of that and got that patched, and they're frequently doing patches to their software to keep it up to date. So, and if I'm at work and my wife's telling me that the kids aren't doing their school or whatever, at work I can open up the app and pause their service. So it's not just, I don't have to be home and be on the Wi-Fi. So there's a lot of benefits to it. We were trying to keep this one cheap, and I've been rambling for quite a while. I stopped repeating words. How fast you think I
Keep it short.
Yeah.
You said cheap.
Cheap? Well, hey, Eero, you get a promotion. Anyway, yes, short. You're right. So the Eero I like. I've heard the Orbi has the better speeds, more consistent speeds, but there are others, and your usage and benefit from them may vary. So.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, it's good to know, because I'm definitely looking into it, and I might never go that route. Like I said, I have the Asus already, and it works just fine. I haven't even really used all of the features. It has 2 USB ports that I can plug a drive into. I can even run Plex directly off of the router instead of through a computer that I'm currently using as a server. So that would free up that laptop, so for the kids' homework or whatever else. But so we'll see how it goes. But it's definitely good to hear your input, because most of what I'm hearing are these either reviews by people who are sponsored by them, some of the podcasts, or even other ones online. When you watch a review, sometimes it's, they sent the device to them, and a lot of these guys, they feel the need to give a positive review. If you give too many negative reviews, these guys might stop sending you hardware. So, and it is good to know that, even on a small or a very thin internet connection by today's standards, I guess, that it's having some difficulty. I am curious as to how it would be on a better connection. We have 100 megabits, maybe 75, but I think it's 100 megabits. What's interesting is it's 100 down, 10 up. No, is it 10 up or 2 up? Whatever. It's not that much. But that's what we pay for. We normally get about 10 to 25 up. But it's just still weird that you're going to lock us down to.
Did you charge your battery?